All right, folks, good morning and welcome to the first show of 2022 for the Joe Mangiacotti Show, this Sunday edition. Here we are, January 2nd of 2022. Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope that the holiday season has been great and fantastic to everybody so far. Good morning, Jazz.
Good morning, Joe. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. You ready for the new year?
Oh, I'm trying.
Have you made any, usually people make some kind of a New Year's resolution.
Well, I quit smoking on December 10th, so I'm going to try to
keep that up.
Yeah.
Okay. And how you doing? Are you okay?
It's definitely been rough.
Yeah.
I started
Are you
smoking
using
when I was 11.
11?
And I just kind of cold turkey was like, I'm done with this. I moved into
well,
my
that
new
explains
place.
why you're only 3 feet 7 inches.
Yeah.
It stunted your growth. So are you using any helper like patch or
No,
gum?
I'm allergic to the adhesive for the patch, so I decided not to even bother with any of that.
Just one problem for another.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So cold turkey is really what it come down to.
Yep.
Man,
One
well,
day to the
congratulations. Because that's already isn't it the third day, third week, third month? Isn't that the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's always tough on the addictions, right?
Yeah.
That 3. Well, that's excellent.
Thank you.
So good New Year's resolution. I'm starting off the new year a little different. Have you noticed?
Yeah, you're all shaven clean.
Yeah. I was going to see if anybody noticed on the video, but yeah, if you're watching, we'll get into the housekeeping in a minute. If you're watching online, you'll notice it's clean shaven. Yeah, you might think, oh, okay, New Year, let's start with the clean shave. No, it was the other night trying to line up the beard on both sides, and it just couldn't, and it made a mistake and tried to fix it. But finally I said, you know what, it's beyond fixing at this point, so take it all off and we'll start over again. So for the first time in a long time, clean shaven, which I had been for like the first 50 years of my life, right? I didn't start wearing a beard till a few years ago, and people liked it, so I kept it on. But anyway, let's take care of some housekeeping, folks. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios, online at tjmshow.com, and you can find the blog site at joemangiashow.com. We're on the TuneIn app, streaming live, as well as our webpage for the radio station, so very easy to take us anywhere. Just punch CRN in anywhere you go. We're right there with you. We are also live streaming on several platforms and streaming the show as well. There's a camera in the studio. It's not a big production, folks. It's just a camera in the studio. But you have the audio that's going too, so you can go on our Facebook page, Twitter account, LinkedIn page even, YouTube channel, and Twitch TV. All of our social media is under Joe Mangi Show, Mangi. And, of course, YouTube is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. And LinkedIn is under my name. So you can find it anywhere there. And, again, Joe Mangi Show for social media. Join the conversation at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. And our text line is up and running, so you can text in real time at 617-297-8388 or email textjoeintheradio@gmail.com. Appears on the same screen in studio live during the show. Coming up at 7 o'clock, Mike Wade, I'm assuming is going to be in. I didn't actually talk to him in the last few days, but I'm assuming Mike will be in at 7 o'clock for Conservatively Speaking. And of course, one more thing. If you do want to contact the show off air because you communicate with the show, use the show email address, joemshow@gmail.com, or Messenger on Facebook. I get text on the Text Joe on the radio, and they're not meant to be on the air. People use that all the time for contacting the show. That won't work. I only look at that, guys, when I'm on the air. All right. So we're about 7 minutes after the hour into our first show of 2022. And, of course, it's something we probably should take a look back at the year on a couple things. We lost some people, Jazz. Betty White, right, passed away.
God, Betty White.
And she passed away Friday, New Year's Eve day, and just hours before it became 2022. And not that I wish she made it to I wish she made it to her 120th birthday, folks. I love Betty White. But it would have been cool if she made it to midnight, so she would have been Betty White 1922 to 2022, right? But she's got that to 2021, 99 years old. If you remember a few years ago, right, there was the kind of petition in 2010 to get the Betty White to host the Saturday Night Live, and it was their highest rated show in 2 years, right? Because they've been, I mean, ever since the old cruise.
She was such a magnificent woman.
Yeah, she started so early with radio, but she had a couple shows long before the Mary Tyler Moore show. She had the Betty White show, Elizabeth. It went by Elizabeth show, and then she had the Betty White variety show. And then she got the part with Mary Tyler Moore, which was supposed to be just like a cameo, 2-series arc. And they liked her, so they built her into the show. And she became a huge part of it, right? And then she got the Golden Girls, which was a huge hit. I mean, they have Golden Girl reunions, right? And drag queens dress up and all the I mean, this Golden Girls is like a cult show. So she's just she's fantastic, and she's done so much for animals, right? She was a huge cat, dog lover. She said, I've seen her interviews where she's like, her life is divided between acting shows and animals. And so she was always great for that. 6 Emmy Awards in her career. 9 decades. I mean, only Lucille Ball is comparable, right, for basically having a show in every decade she was alive in. She was, what was the name on Mary? Sue Ann Nivens, right? Wasn't that the character on Mary Tyler Moore? She was on there, I think, 4 years. Then she was Rosen Island on Golden Girls, and that was from St. Olaf, where she played that sweet, innocent, kind of doofus, But hey, she's a heck of a career. She's done movies, and she's parade hosting, talk show appearances, commercials, the Super Bowl. Remember where the Snickers commercial? They had her getting tackled. You're playing like Betty White, and she's so iconic. And of course, we go from one end of the spectrum to Harry Reid, who isn't looked upon with such fondness and sweetness. This guy, I guess best described in a lot of ways as just a crook. He was a boxer, middleweight boxer in his early days.
I did not know that.
Yep. And he kind of was a lot of push behind the Obamacare getting through. He was always kind of hard to read on the gun control. He played hardball with the casinos all the time because he was out there in Vegas, right? He was a Las Vegas senator, Nevada senator, I should say. Anyway, John Madden passed away recently. I mean, this guy, right, Raiders coach, but then he really made, I think, the name for himself in the broadcasting, right? He became such a well-known broadcaster, and then, of course, he was the name behind, I think, one of the biggest video games ever, right? The Madden football game. I never played it, folks, so I don't know what it's like, except it was a huge seller and made his name kind of household name. Desmond Tutu, right? We lost Nobel Prize winning Desmond Tutu. Finished his work on Earth Day after Christmas at age 90. He was the former Archbishop of South Africa, the first black man to hold that post. And, of course, he was a huge, huge leader in the fight against apartheid. Son of an educator, Archbishop Tutu himself spent 3 years teaching high school before taking up theology. He was ordained as a priest in 1960. He did receive his master's degree in theological studies in England. Returned to South Africa to teach that subject. So we've lost a lot of great people. Bob Dole, another politician, right? He passed away this year during the Trump administration, so there was a lot of brouhaha around that. That was something else. Colin Powell passed away. A guy that a lot of us thought he might have been the first black president. There was a talk many times around that he would be a great candidate. He was known for being just a level-headed, fair, honest, tough guy, former Secretary of State, 4-star general. He was a New Yorker, proud New Yorker as well as American. But he lost his battle with COVID in October, 84 years old. He was fought in Nam, and he then led the controversial Iraq War under the George W. administration. great stories about him, just about him being an officer and how he was a great leader. And like I said, there was always a lot of talk. A lot of people wish he'd run. And at times he came out, he had considered it, I think, at times, because he'd talk about his wife vetoed that idea on several occasions. So that often happens, I think. Melvin Van Peebles, he passed away. So, the list goes on. And lost, I think, is one of the greatest comedians around. Norm Macdonald passed away. Norm was also, other than, of course, Saturday Night Live and his weekend update, would come on and say, hey, it's time for the fake news now, which was long before fake news was a thing. And he was such an outspoken criticizer of O.J. Simpson. He never let it go. Every opportunity he had to point out that O.J. got away with murder, he would do that. Upon hearing the news of the comic's death, Senator Bob Dole, who outlived McDonald by just a few months, tweeted he'd missed the Joker whose responsibilities in Saturday Night Live included impersonating Bob Dole. Remember, they always pick the actor, right? Alec, right? He was getting a Trump gig. Who does Joe Biden on Saturday Night Live? See, I don't watch Saturday Night Live anymore. I just don't. The only late night show that I make an effort to watch is Gutfeld. And he has that comedian that does and he does a great Biden on there. But, he did Bob Dole, and that was something. Michael K. Williams, remember him from The Wire? Right, we lost him this year, too. Ed Asner, speaking of Mary Tyler Moore. He had a couple different great shows and stuff. But I think also, didn't Gavin MacLeod, who played Murray, the news writer on Mary Tyler Moore and then Love Boat, he also passed away this year. So Ed Asner and Murray also passed away. One of the Don Everly from the Everly Brothers, we lost him. Jackie Mason. Jackie Mason is one of those that was really left over, right? He was a young guy when the Rat Pack was big, and he was coming up as a young comedian. Well, those guys were in their heyday, and he talked so fast like this, and he was he made a name for himself. Clarence Williams III, right, from Mod Squad. Remember him? Also, I don't know if this got a lot of attention. Bernie Madoff, we lost, Jazz. Remember Bernie Madoff, right? He built, $50 billion? People out, he just took everybody. And, of course, on the royalty front, Prince Philip passed away as well. And the Queen in her 90s now. I got to tell you, though, it's an interesting, other than watching The Crown, if you have an opportunity to read any of those books on the royal family, I'd suggest doing it. My mother was a huge expert on everything the House of Windsor. So we had a lot of those books hanging around when I was a kid. And they're interesting. There's stories in there that are really cool if you ever want to go check them out. And George Segal, right, who had Just Shoot Me. That was one of his big shows. But his latest thing was playing the grandfather on the Goldbergs, right? He was the grandfather on the Goldbergs. And, of course, the broadcast industry lost its giant this year, Rush Limbaugh, who changed radio in so many ways. And I'm talking in ways in the style in which radio is done, the concept of the networking shows, right, syndicating shows, not having guests on. There were so many things that he did that changed the way radio was done. And many of us have benefited from that over the years. And he took broadcasting as a standalone talk show host to another level. And like I said, has changed it for those of us in the business in a big way. And when he was, I was starting in the business when he had just busted out as a huge national personality. And if you didn't know or missed it, Larry Flint also passed away. He was such a First Amendment advocate, right? That was his thing. Because of his magazine and having that ability to print the pornography, and he did a lot for the First Amendment. Christopher Plummer, Anyway, we lost a lot of great, of course, Leachman. I mean, it goes on and on. A lot of people, right? Another broadcasting king, Larry King, also passed away. So we have so many people that we've lost this year. I don't know if you want to call in 508-871-7000. Let us know who you might miss the most, who's your saddest about, or God forbid happiest about. But the point is we lost a lot of people. If I missed somebody on here, I don't know. I'm sorry if I did that, but it was a tough year. A lot of great talent and some not great people won't be down for breakfast. 508-871-7000. To join the conversation, lines are open and available, as well as our text line at 617-297-8388. And coming up at 7 o'clock, Mike Wade will join us. So moving along, yeah, those are the people we lost. But I also wanted to take the first show of 2022 to look back over the last year at some of the great hoax, some of the implosions that we've had, some of the biggest stories of the year and how they were covered or not covered, as the case may be. So chime in at any time on any of this stuff that if you want to put your 2 cents in here. But let's look at some of these hoaxes. Of course, the Russian collusion hoax. I mean, this is a multi-year hoax, right? We've been living with the Russian collusion hoax literally for years. This started out as a dirty trickster Hillary Clinton campaign thing, trying to get some attention off of her emails and her illegal doings. And it's almost like it took a life unto its own. And even though people knew, I'm talking FBI and politicians, right? Remember we had why am I drawing a blank? The senator, the idiot senator, Schumer, not Schumer. Anyway, coming out and saying he has evidence, right? Absolute evidence, no question about it. He's seen it. All lying, right? That the dossier was phony. The stories were phony. They altered. Now we find out, right? We've learned since over the years that they've altered documentations and forms. They lied to the FISA court, right? They leaked information, then used that leaked information from the news stories as reference in front of the FISA court. So Russian collusion has to be one of the largest hoax, not just in 2022, but multi hoax. What else is there, right? I think the whole horse whipping hoax. The reins were whips, right? This was just ludicrous, right? You come out, a reporter says this, and then they just regurgitate it. They pick it up. They lie about it. And the reins, of course, are not whips. They're part of the saddling of a horse, and they're used to control the horses. These horses are 1,000, 2,000 pounds, and these mounted Border Patrol agents are well-trained, and they know what they're doing, and the reins are used to control the horse, and they're used to control crowds, and for anything, those reins are there to protect the illegal immigrants who are trying to cross the Rio Grande or sneak into the country, and they're hurting the people, and that's perfectly fine. So this was a great hoax. Nobody was whipping. What's Joe Biden's response to that was, by the way? It wasn't to take a moment, take a beat. Well, what do you do? Oh, those aren't whips. Those are reins, Mr. President, right? Okay. No. He bars the use of horses, which is asinine, because it's one of the most effective and cost-effective ways for the Border Patrol to operate. So that's a classic hoax that was just and regurgitated, right? Again, the media picks up, the left media, the alphabet soup, MSNBC, CNN, they just go with it, right? Only, the Fox News, they're trying to say they're reins, people. They're reins. Even the guy who took the picture is like, nobody's whipping anybody. They're just horse reins. They're on every saddle setup, people. What's another hoax? I would Jesse Smollett. I mean, this thing has been going on for several years as well, right? Still going on because he hasn't been sentenced. And this is a hoax. We have video evidence. And when you learned a couple of things there, when you're going to do a hoax like this, don't pay your co-conspirators there with a check and do a dry run. I mean, it was, if it wasn't so dangerous and divisive that what he was trying to do, not just go after 45 and make Trump and Trump supporters look back, but put that wedge of racial division. He wanted to drive that straight through the heart of the country. So I hope he is sentenced and loses any appeal. I think he has to do some jail time. And since he actually took the stand and he lied under oath again, and the judge, I think, has no alternative but to put this guy in jail or prison for a little while. But he's going to come up under crimes, too. I mean, Jesse Smollett case is all over the place. Another hoax has been this 1619 project, right? They just keep, this comes out in the New York Times. It's an essay, and the 1619 thesis is what it is. It's not history. Historians keep knocking it down every week, and they still keep throwing it out there like it's a curriculum. You know, and then maybe one of the biggest hoaxes is that we put this super old guy in office who's a liar and weak-minded as president, and we continue to think this is a good thing. So there's some hoax. Do you have one? 508-871-7000. What would you consider one of the biggest or best or pathetic hoax of 2021? And it can be one that's ongoing, you know, that has been happening for a while. I think one of the other is the hoax of there was no, right? There was no. And what I mean by that is all the things that came in under there was no crime waves. There is no inflation. There is no CRT curriculum, right? All that. All bull. 508-871-7000. Let me jump to the phone. Mark in Worcester. First of all, Happy New Year, Mark. Thanks for joining us this morning. And you look marvelous for 2022.
You look marvelous as well without your beard.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, clean shave. I don't know. Do you think I look younger or older?
Younger.
Younger, yeah, little baby face. Good. All right, man. What do you think of hoax from 2021? What's your favorite?
The whole year of 2021 was a hoax.
Yeah, good point.
And I'm not sorry to see the whole year in the dumpster, be quite frank with you. And if you think 2021 was a ride on the Reading, where do you see what happens this year?
On which front? What do you think? Give me some predictions.
It's going to make 2021 look like a walk in the park. I think they're going to come out with, believe it or not, UFOs. They're going to say we're being visited, they're real, and this and that. It's all going to be to push your agenda of one world government.
I
the enemy. In other words, you know what I mean.
Now we got to be a planet. We got to be one planet, not a country.
Yeah, we got to be united as a planet. We have to, eliminate our borders and unite as a planet to fight the foe from the outside. Right. You think I'm kidding?
No, I get what you're saying. Right. We got to be got to be the real Star Trek now. We got to be the united planet.
It's gonna be like Mars Attacks on steroids. You know what I mean? you think you wait to see what happens this year. You're gonna see stuff that's gonna blow your mind.
Well, we've got the anniversary of January 6th approaching. Do you think they're going to really just go all out crazy on that?
They've been going all out crazy on it for a year.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I can't imagine what the news cycle is going to be starting Monday.
You know, you got a pen and a piece of paper around?
Always.
All right. I want you to write something down. It's called graphene, GRAPHENE, oxide, OXIDE. Molecular, MOLECULAR, structure, 666. Look it up on a search engine.
Okay.
Graphene oxide molecular structure 666. Now it's very technical. Some websites are more geared to the layperson. Some of it's very scientific.
Okay.
But when you get the general gist of what this stuff is, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then I want you to look up Dr. Charles Lieber.
Oh, yeah, I know Dr. Lieber.
The guy who was busted by the feds on 6 counts.
Yep.
Scientist, researcher,
Espionage.
Harvard
He's a
University.
spy. Chinese spy
Yeah.
is what he comes down to.
No, look up what his major scientific what's the word I'm looking for?
Thesis?
His major scientific research was within. Okay? And then you look at graphene oxide, molecular structure 666, and what his prime research was in, and you'll start connecting the dots.
Got it. Mark, I got to hold you there because I'm over for the break. You're welcome to join me in the second half, but I do have to stop you there. Guys, we have to take a quick break here. On the very first show of 2020, the Joe Mangiacotti Show here from the Sunday edition from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Studios. Back in a moment. And welcome back to the second half of the first hour, the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show, first show of 2022. I am Joe Mangiacotti from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. Mike Wade coming up at 7 o'clock this morning. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show. Matter of fact, Mike's in studio, and Teddy got it. He hasn't seen Mike for a couple of weeks, Jazz. You heard him bark, right? He was going nuts. All right, folks, what do you want to talk about? I'm talking about the hoax and implosions and the crime stories, crimes of the year, right? So going back to what I was saying, there was the no, right? They told us there was no crime wave. That was bull. There was no defunding of the police, which, of course, caused the crime waves. And that there was no protests or there were no riots. They were all peaceful protests. And that the CRT curriculum, there is no such thing. It's not in there. That's a lie. We came with receipts, literal receipts, where school systems like Virginia paid CRT consultants in for the curriculum, right? And Merrick Garland's son-in-law making millions off of the CRT curriculum being sold. Crimes of the year, right? They changed it. They don't want us to call it looting. It's the smash and grabs. And then all the attacks on elderly and Asians, right? A lot of attacks on Asians. Again, we're back to Smollett. Another crime of the year, this guy going on. CNN reported on everything that wasn't true and didn't do any true journalism or reporting on the crimes that were actually happening. Crazy. Implosions. What are some of your favorite implosions of 2021? 508-871-7000. Let's jump to the phones. Ken, good morning. Happy New Year, Ken. You look marvelous.
Same on both counts, Joe. And hello again, Patriots. There is so much to talk about.
Yeah.
But, on Sundays I like to jump to the Hall of Fame Hall of Shame. Let me jump to that, and then we can...
Let me ask you, because Mark got my curiosity up. Do you think this is the year that they'll finally come out and admit that extraterrestrials have been to the planet or are at the planet, UFOs do exist? Is this the year?
Well, UFOs have always existed.
Do they acknowledge it, though?
The definition of unidentified flying object. I mean, they're just always going to be there. It's what you think they entail. All
right. Do you think that they'll admit that extraterrestrials have been to the planet Earth?
Actually, I think they did. Well, now you're speaking of a being as opposed to an object.
Well, we have objects. I mean, a meteorite is extraterrestrial. It's a foreign object.
So that's clearly exists.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what they are, and it's hard to identify. And
All
it could
right.
be
Will they admit this year that there's intelligent life beyond our planet that has visited this planet?
No, I don't think that will likely happen.
Okay.
It's an issue that in so many ways is hard to define that I don't spend a lot of time focused on it. That is, in fact, this day and age is so many things going on. It's like, well, yeah, that's
No, it's just a
15 on my
quick
list.
question. Mark brought something up. It got me thinking.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating.
I mean, there's been Project Blue Book, right? I mean, the federal government keep changing. They keep like doing away with the UFO programs, and then they just call it something different. Transfer all the assets and money, and they start a new program. This Navy video that came out this past year was just. I mean, it was just totally beyond any explanation. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but it moved at speeds that nobody on the planet has the ability to move. It took angles that would snap the neck or it would kill a human being if they were in an aircraft that changed the direction at the speed and angle that these things do, and we have it on radar. The human inside would not live.
Yeah, and it could be an optical illusion, or it could be very substantive. I just don't know.
We'll see. All right, get back. So your Hall of Fame and Shame.
Yeah, I think we just finished a year, so you have to make some big names. So I always start with Hall of Shame, and I think it's clearly Fauci. I don't even know if I already nominated him, but it doesn't matter. He
deserves it again.
In the past 2 years.
Because
so
we're doing the year-end Hall of Shame. Let's put it that way. So it's fine to repeat it.
And just to me, he's clearly at the top. You can talk about political figures, but when you consider his involvement in what created the virus and all his cover-ups since then and lies, it's
Oh yeah.
So you speak of a hoax. I mean, his covering up of the lab.
Oh, absolutely. NIH, right? What he did with getting those 3 researchers to change their story. Look, I'm at this point. Give the guy his $350,000 a year. That's what his retirement pension is, by the way, and get the heck out of the scene. Get out of here.
Well, you know what his age is, correct?
Oh, he's 70 something.
No. He just turned 81.
Oh, he did. Okay, 81. Jesus,
December 24th, Christmas Eve. I just checked that. It's like, there's another year. Wow. And I can tell you when he's going to exit. I can give you the month. I can't give you the day, but I'm going to give you the month.
Okay.
November 2022. Soon after the election shows that the Dems took a beating, everybody's going to want him to go.
Yeah.
Everybody. Both sides. Get out of here.
I could see that. He's not going to want to stick around. And then, of course, after the midterms, right? I mean, the presidential race will start to shape up. And the Dems have got to figure out how do they exit Joe if he's still around, meaning still president. I guess still around, period, and not lose face. If he admits that he's not going to seek re-election, it makes him a lame duck immediately. But is there anybody that doesn't think he's already a lame duck? Wasn't he kind of a lame duck the moment he got sworn in?
Joe, on that topic, the logical thing would be the party doesn't want either Joe or Kamala, and they tell Joe after the election, and, you need to appoint. Well, here's the problem. He needs to appoint a replacement for Kamala.
Yeah.
But she won't step down.
No, but that's why there was a little wait a minute, but Ken, do you remember there was a little rumor that got really nipped in the bud about nominating her to the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
And that got leaked out, and then the backlash was so ridiculous that withdrew right away. But that was...
the numbers don't make sense. There's no way she could get to a Senate body. No way.
No. But they've got to give her either they got to tell her you need to decide you want to pursue something else, or they got to fire her without firing her, right? She needs to step down. He needs to then replace somebody.
Their ideal, we don't know how it could happen. Their ideal would be to, Kamala, you have to step aside. She steps aside. And I guess maybe she'd have to do it before November when it's rather obvious they're going to lose power to then somehow and does it go through the House and the Senate or just the Senate to replace the
exactly. So they if they do it,
he nominates.
Right. They want to make sure that it's before the midterms, right? Before they take office, because the Democrats want to be able to push through whoever they decide to replace her. Because if they don't, and it's a Republican control, then their Republicans, hopefully, in theory, would not approve anybody to become the new vice president that wasn't at least halfway sane and reasonable, right?
But do you know what? It's a majority vote. Is it both the House and Senate, or just one? Just Senate?
I think it's just the Senate.
Just the Senate.
But I don't know that. So you know what?
Yeah, that goes back to Rockefeller, so it's easy to find out.
Yeah. So we're going to research appointing a vice president.
I should say Ford and Rockefeller, but Ford ultimately became president, and that was. But each were nominated, Ford by Nixon and Rockefeller by Ford.
Right. So let's do that. That'll be a homework assignment for the show.
Yeah,
I want to find out what that is, what it takes. I think it's just the Senate needs to approve that person, but I don't know. We'll check it out.
But the whole point on this, if it were to go that course, is then after, I believe, January 20 of 23, they could then the party could say, Joe, you have to step it down. We've got your replacement. You have to step down, and then that replacement would have the possibility of
that new VP ascends to the presidency, and now we have an unelected president, which some might argue Joe is an unelected president.
Yeah,
depending on.
See, they could serve just short of 10 years. In that
as long as it's after that certain date, they can finish it out, and then they can run twice. Yeah. But
if they do all that, who knows?
But I think that the Republicans have, at this point today, I mean, a generic Republican is winning every poll right now. A generic Republican's winning against a Democrat in all the polls right now. And if you start putting Trump up against Biden, he's shellacking him right now. So, I mean, if you put a Trump-DeSantis ticket in 2024 with the unimplied scenario being Trump does which he could only do that one second term, right? And we've had presidents, right? We've had presidents who did 2 terms, not consecutively. So he comes back as the 47th president. And then DeSantis, as the VP, takes it. And at that point will be, what are we at, 24, 28, right? 2028.
Yeah, but you can't plan out 12 years. So that's silly.
Well, it's not 12
Personally,
years.
Yeah, but what you're describing is Trump for 4 and DeSantis for 8. And
well, you don't know if he's going to take it for 8. But the point is, if DeSantis continues to beat DeSantis and he takes it in 2028, pretty good chance he's taking it through the 8 years.
Right. That's the 12-year scenario.
So,
but I just think that the public, one way or another, Trump is not likely to run. As much as most people think he is, I think not. And I actually have what I think is the unbeatable ticket.
Well, just a quick thing on that, because on that note, right, his record, Trump has been a kingmaker, because if you look at his endorsement, I mean, he's only, there's only been 1 or 2 races that didn't go his way that he endorsed out of dozens, and I think 177 races across the country or something stupid. I'll pull up, I have the article somewhere. So he's been doing very well as the kingmaker, and some say just stay that way, because his endorsement record, Ken, is far better than Barack Obama. I mean, Barack Obama endorsed a couple governors in blue states that didn't win. You know,
you're talking the difference between the Midas touch and the Situm touch. So Barack had the Situm touch, and Trump the Midas touch.
Got it. But anyway, you could finish your thought. I was just going to say he could stay. Trump could just stay as pretty powerful and active out of office, because he hasn't. Look at. I was talking to a friend of mine who was in the State Department. He's saying, when Trump still goes to sold-out rallies today, in the Secret Service, right, they still have to give him Secret Service protection. And he's saying his buddies in the Secret Service is saying, this is ridiculous. We can't handle it because he's not the president. We don't have the detail that a president has, right? We have a former president detail. Yet the crowds that show up for this guy are tens of thousands of people. We can't do what we're supposed to do. It's still as if he was president. He goes somewhere, it's sold out. He drives along a city, road, in the streets lined with people, and the Secret Service guys are saying, This is ridiculous. This is more than Biden, right? We don't get this. We get more people with anti-Biden, pro-Trump signage on the motorcade. So they're dealing with Donald Trump still gets a reception as a sitting president. And the Secret Service is like, we don't have the manpower to actually do our job because no former president has ever had this kind of following and reception, right? No former president does a rally with 60,000 people showing up. So
yeah, I'm hoping, Joe, he's so successful with his new media company and having so much fun with that. It's like, why do I want to go back to that mess in DC?
Right.
You know, this is too much fun.
Right.
Making too much money.
I got to tell you, I think the Democrats are the ones who would love to see Twitter reinstate his account more than anyone, because at least if Donald Trump was back on Twitter, it would take some attention off of them, right? They need a distraction because they would love Donald Trump, right, having their minions in the mainstream media talking about whatever he said on Twitter, opposed to having to look at Joe Biden's failed policies, his mess ups, right, his total alphabet soup speeches, his son Hunter Biden, right? They would rather everybody focused on Trump and whatever he tweeted out lately. I think most Democrats in power would be like, please give the guy his account back, please, so that we can get some cover.
Although I would predict that when his company kicks up, and I think it's within weeks, if not a month or two, that they go out of their way to ignore whatever he says on it because they see it as a big threat.
Yeah.
So
what is that called? I'm getting emails all the time, right? Be one of the first contributors.
Yeah, me too. I caught an email.
What are they calling it?
Truth.
The truth. Okay, and it's going to be set up like Twitter or Parler or Getter. Have you seen this new Getter? I went on Getter, by the way, folks. So I don't know if you guys have this new platform, but it's GTTR. And it's kind of like a Twitter account. So I'm on there now. I don't use it a lot. I'm seeing as it grows. So is this Truth going to be more of a
equivalent
posting or like a Twitter type thing?
It's going to be, I think it's going to be both Twitter type and potentially all the other.
Because he did that blog thing that was kind of from the desk of Donald Trump, right? Which was nothing more than just a bulletin board, right?
It's going to be primarily a Twitter competition.
Okay, well, good, because that's what they need, And the conservatives need an alternative to Twitter, in somewhere where you can actually say something like monoclonal, treatments are good and not be banned and shut down.
Yeah.
So,
all that stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So real quick, my prediction on the ticket that would be the strongest, and I'm forgetting the Trump Secretary of State, his last one, the most recent Secretary of State prior to Blinken. You're drawing a blank too.
Napolitano? No. Who was his last Secretary of State?
Yeah, he was CIA director before that.
Oh yeah.
But he has gravitas, and having gravitas, particularly with foreign policy, which he clearly does, I think is perfect to match up with DeSantis. And I know the media is going to go nuts. All male whites, white males. Tough. They're really good at what they do.
Are you talking? Was it Rex Tillerson?
No. He was awful.
Secretary. I'm trying.
Who was subsequent? The most
Mike Pompeo.
Pompeo. Exactly.
Mike Pompeo.
Pompeo was VP.
So
excellent.
DeSantis and Pompeo.
Yeah.
That would be interesting because I think Mike Pompeo was awesome, right. And I still love to see when he's on. When he's on as a guest, as a commentator on things.
And in fact, I think that would be the clincher of Trump saying, "Yeah, I'm for that ticket," and really punching it. And then
endorsing it.
I think he was his favorite cabinet member was Pompeo.
Yeah, and then endorsing it and pushing it and being very public about not running because this is a great ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm doing so good with what I'm doing, and I'm gonna make them win. It's all me that's behind them winning because of my company.
Well, yeah. Well, he's going to take. Yeah. Whoever he endorses, and when they win, the Republican win, of course he's going to take credit for it.
Of course.
I mean, he's just going to say, they run. If I had run, they wouldn't have. You know that's what's coming.
Right. And DeSantis will say as much. He'll say, yeah, I wouldn't have run it. But now that he isn't, I'm here.
But I got to tell you, I really think that he's going to run, though.
There's so much that's going to happen in the next coming year. It's going to be a whirlwind.
It is. And we got to see where he's at and where everything's at. But I really think that it is. But I'm going to hold you there. I have one more huge hoax, I think, that we have to point out is the Kyle Rittenhouse.
Real
hoax.
quick, Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Nobody is so universally liked than Betty White.
I know, right? Betty White is awesome. Yeah.
Throughout her life.
Universally
liked.
She was always, right. There was never any scandal. And what I always I got a kick out of, even when she was, in her 70s and 80s, right, she was just known as a cougar, right? She always loved to have the hot young men around, and she made no bones about it. And I couldn't have been, you go, girl, more than, good for you, Betty. Good for you. But, yeah, hey, thanks for those. Those are good. Fauci, Hall of Shame, Betty White for 2021 Hall of Fame. Got it. All right, Ken, thanks for the call. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right. So, again, folks, I just got to make sure that I point out that the Kyle Rittenhouse was a huge media bias and just a story that was such a hoax. Everything that the media reported they proposed that this white supremacist, bigoted 17-year-old took a gun, went across state lines to shoot random people. That's the report. We can get the montage and play it all. They lied about everything. And, of course, they had to drop that charge because you had a prosecutor who was so biased and stupid that he actually charged him when the gun never crossed state lines. It was in Minnesota the entire time. And he didn't render in white supremacists, right? He shoots 3 white men who were attacking him. Improved in a court of law. It was all self-defense. It was the biggest hoax bull. And thank God, because finally, and I've always said this, if it's done right, jurors usually get it right because they take it seriously and they are actually getting the evidence, not this asinine regurgitated lies that the media puts forward on that. And then the other media bias I would have to say would be that against Governor Ron DeSantis. I mean, they call them Governor Death, right? And this is the guy that got it right. He analyzed, he analyzed the information, he segregated and protected the elderly first. He did it right, he handled it, and it's great. But this is going to wrap up the first show of 2022. The Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Coming up after the break, Mike Wade and Conservatively Speaking. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a few moments. Jazz, thank you very much.
Of course.
Oh, there's Teddy saying hi, too, because he sees Mike coming in. This is great. All right, folks. We're done. Mike will be back on the other side of the break, folks. Take care.